Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good evening tonight. I hope you guys are excited for what we have in store for you. My name is Giselle, aka Giselium. I will be your lovely host tonight as we kick off the BiG Byte Game Jam. I'm going to toss it over here to Tim for his intro as well. He will be my co host this evening.
Hey, what's up, Giselle? What's up, everybody? I'm Timothy, the creative director over at the Melanated Game Kitchen. Thanks for everyone coming to join us in our game jam, and very excited to see what we'll cook up for this next month.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm a game designer myself. I really cannot wait to see what you guys make. So let's get into it and let's hit the next slide for our agenda of the day. So today we'll be going over a little bit of our details to get you started on this jam that we have going today. First, we'll have a little bit of an intro. You've already met your co-hosts, and then you will see prizes, sponsors, some of our theme and food dishes that we can throw in there, the overall jam schedule, and then we'll close out and send you guys developing. All right, let's hit that next slide. So let's talk a little bit about the reasons that we are here today. Thank you to both Black and Gaming and Melanated Game Kitchen for hooking up this wonderful, wonderful game jam. We're just going to talk a little bit about each of these individual organizations and kind of what they're doing for us today. And I'll start with Black and Gaming. So Black and Gaming's vision is to inspire a world where each individual has equity in the gaming industry. Their mission is to connect, educate, and empower Black talent in the worldwide gaming ecosystem by striving to achieve significant increases in Black representation. This should accurately reflect the diverse participants in the industry, and honestly, without them, this game jam would not be possible. And I honestly am so happy to even be a part of it and in between these two organizations. So let's talk about our other patron hosting this, Melanated Game Kitchen. They are a collective co-op studio made up of creators focused on the creation and curation of unique interactive experiences that reflect the African diaspora. And for the reason that we're here today, I just kind of wanted to talk about the Game Jam series. If you are unfamiliar with it, they do a wonderful series throughout the year called the Cultural Bites. This will be one of many in the series that are focused on accepting new members into the collective for all types of skill sets. So if you're interested, if this is your first jam, if you want to help elevate what they're doing, please talk to Tim right here. He's got more information on that. But if you're already here, I'm assuming that you are in the right place. So welcome, welcome, and thank you to these two organizations. So let's swiftly move into our prizes and intro to our sponsor, which is another huge reason why we're here and why we have all of our prizes that we have today to give all to you at the end of our month together. All right, so none of this would be possible without our jam sponsor, Jam and Joysticks. We want to thank them for supporting this jam. If you are unfamiliar with what Jam and Joysticks are, Jam and Joysticks is a podcast that is a vibrant platform for where the gaming community comes together and shares their unique stories, perspectives, and voices. You can check them out. We'll have links to all of this in the Discord server, but throughout engaging discussions and insightful interviews and authentic narratives, they celebrate diversity, creativity within the gaming industry. With the mantra of your story, your perspective, your voice, the podcast empowers gamers to express themselves authentically, whether it's recounting memorable gaming events, discussing industry trends, personal experiences, and more. By providing a space for gamers for them to share their passions and thoughts, Jam and Joysticks serves as a dynamic conduit for the gaming industry, amplifying diverse voices and fostering a sense of community and belonging among gamers worldwide. So please go ahead and check them out. Without this would not be possible. So for you guys, for you jammers, let's talk a little bit about the good bits. What does this game jam mean if you are placing? There'll be 4 different categories that we'll be judging off of. We're going to have the overall quality, creative design, relation to theme, and people's choice. I'll repeat those just for anyone who is interested, but we will also have all of this listed on the Jam website, but those categories will be overall quality, creative/design, relation to theme, and people's choice. The prize pool will consist of a total of $500, 3 featured podcast slots, and 1 original piece of music that will be distributed throughout all the teams by our team. So, let's go to the next slide. and we're going to pivot back and talk a little bit about more Game Jam series details. So kind of talking a little bit more about Melanated Game Kitchen and what they do. This jam series is focused on talking about the African diaspora and cultural traditions. So within focus of their cultural bite jam, we are going to be announcing your theme and food dish, as they have done so many times in the past. We always have a dish associated with these jams. So we'll kind of explain what that may mean for your game and for the development. But let us go to the next slide for our theme announcement. As you can see, our theme announcement is collective power. So that can mean many different things, and I wanted to kind of dive into some of those definitions for you. But this theme is focused on groups of people or beginnings coming together to build power and work towards shared goals. Keywords are mutual aid, camaraderie, we are stronger together than apart, more than the sum of our parts, overall community, which is what all of these organizations stand for, grassroots efforts, solidarity, protest. Just of note as well, when we're talking overall about power, we're talking about the capacity and ability to direct or influence behaviors of others in a short event time period, like desired outcome, according to Oxford Dictionary as well. But I especially wanted to highlight power lies in what one does in a position, how one positively impacts and progresses society forwards from a position of leadership. That's by Sandy Powlick. Thank you, Tim, for that wonderful quote. I think that's a beautiful way to tie it all in together. But yes, we are going to be rolling with this strong theme of collective power within your games.
Very
so
excited.
Please stick around. Yeah, I'm super excited with this theme. It's a strong one, especially right now. I think it's really important to be highlighting things like this. But please stick around. We still have plenty of more information for you. We definitely also have some ingredients that we would like to add to this mix to help you out with kind of adding some creativity to the game. So we have some resources that we want to dive into, which brings me to our next slide here, our jam food dish intro. So this jam's dedicated dish is a beef patty. And personally, I have never had a beef patty, which is like kind of a crime in and of itself. But I come from Portugal, where they actually have this thing called rissoles, which is very similar, where they have stuffed, which I think typically is traditionally with fish, but it can be beef, chicken, whatever. So that's the closest that I have, but I have heard that they smack and they're amazing. But I will pass it off to Tim to talk a little bit more about the historical relevance of the Jamaican beef patty and beef patties in general. He's curated a wonderful historical background for us today, if you are unfamiliar.
I'm really curious about this dish from Portugal that you mentioned, because I have not heard of it yet. So, like,
yeah, no, they're great.
Okay. Well, shoot, but beef patties, yeah, I didn't grow up with them, but I've had them for years now. Especially when I was back in DC. One of my favorite things to do with we had a Jamaican spot, and we would go and get a beef patty or even chicken sometimes, and eat it with some cocoa bread and make a nice little sandwich. It's a perfect little snack. So typically patties are made with beef, chicken, ackee, which is like a very traditional fish from the islands, veggies, mushrooms, other veggies that they'll put together, but with a nice particular like a spice ingredient that they add in there to really give it a distinct flavor. So as you mentioned before, Giselle, like you had something similar, but maybe not the same. And that's the big thing, like based upon the region and the culture that you're in, there might be similar dishes like empanadas, for example, Haitian patties, but they do a little bit different, African meat pies. And then if you go even further back to, other countries like Europe, then like Cornish pasties and other similar kind of pie type dishes, right? So that's the key part for that, right? One of the things that why we decided on the beef patty this time was because the dish is easy to eat on the go. It's shareable. It's easy for like a large group of people to eat together, and it's a simple food to you can cook it in different ways, as I mentioned before, right? And the beef patty in particular from Jamaica, it has a distinct kind of crumbly yellow flour-based dough. as for the pie crust, and then that richly seasoned meat filling on the inside. And so these patties feel really good for collective power because you make many and you can feed many, right? It's good for gatherings. It's easy to distribute. It's easy to carry on the go. So if you need to mobilize people in a large group, right, and you're on your feet for a long time, you just carry one of those around, right, or a couple of them around, and you have a good snack that's going to fill you up, right? So to get into a little bit of origin story before we move on, right? The origins of the beef patty can be kind of traced back to the periods where British colonists kind of brought the Cornish pasty to the Caribbeans. And this was during the enslavement period. So enslaved Indians and enslaved African peoples who were on the islands, were brought to the islands, evolved this dish over time. They brought, you take the curry powder, that's kind of reflecting of some of the Indian influence, right? The cayenne pepper and some of these other spicy spices kind of reflect some of that African influence. And so over time, these influences led to the creation of that spice ground beef filling that we have that's a staple now in this Jamaican cuisine. And in a quote from, I'm gonna see if I can get her name right, but Tao Le Goffey from the Black Food Book, the foodways of British imperialism and 1960s diasporic migration brought the patty to New York. One of my grandmothers traveled from similar routes, migrating from Jamaica to New York in 1967. And so the patty is another reflection of migrations and how these different foods have come from different parts and backgrounds to combine in a unique way that forms this particular dish. So lastly, let's jump into the jam a little bit from this part. The other ingredients for the theme. Right. So these are the additions that you can add into your game that can help you focus your creativity a little bit and, get some more ideas flowing. So the first one, as on the slide is indicated, curry powder. So curry powder, make a Pikmin-like game inspired by Nintendo's Pikmin series, and take that core idea and do something different with it. Right. The next one, allspice. This is use a non-violent form of power in your game. The next one, apple cider vinegar. Make an experience with narrative or gameplay focused around environmental solutions or for social impact. And the last one, turmeric. Explore climate futures and pull from the solar punk genre to create your game's world. And so with these four, should provide some good inspiration if you need a little bit of help figuring out some ideas. Also, I would encourage turmeric as a consideration for your game as well, and because there is another game jam currently going called the Just Play Jam. This is hosted by some friends of ours from the Game Kitchen, and they're exploring climate futures in their game jam. The jam ends in a couple weeks, and so if you were interested in also participating, you could do a jam that has similar themes for us and for them, and still submit to both. Highly encouraged, and they have a nice 10K cash prize for the winner. So check it out, and we'll see what y'all come up with. And with that, I'll pass it back to Giselle to talk a little bit about some of our resources and other details for y'all.
Thank you, Tim, so much. Like, as you were sharing, I just realized, like, even my own mom has changed the resource recipe, like, when she moved to the States. And I think when I went back, it was super interesting to see how just in one generation, how different it can be already. So I think this is a really solid idea, and I would love to see what you guys do with it in the games. But also, do not worry, we'll have all of this stuff up on our website as well if you may forget what an ingredient may represent or ideas there. So do not worry about that. But let's go on to the next slide to show you guys some of our resources that we have accumulated to you. But let's do our jam schedule so you guys can see how the jam is going to be laid out and the resources that we have provided for you throughout. Let's See. All right, so here's our jam schedule, and we're kind of going to go into it one by one and kind of talk about what these pieces mean for each person and team. You have made it to the right place. If you are here for the jam kickoff, you are correctly in the right area. That is Friday, May 3rd, as we are here today talking to you guys about the theme and what this jam is going to consist of. We also have mentor office hours throughout this jam. This is a month-long jam, and our mentors are here and available for you to ask questions. I think I added this in the end, but like, there are no dumb questions. Come and use the mentors here. They are here for you. Sometimes you can get stuck on a problem and it can be very dismotivating. So these are open office hours for you guys to talk to professionals who kind of have specified expertise in these subjects. We'll have several dates listed here. Again, do not fret. You do not have to memorize off the slide. We will have this on our website as well for the jam. But here are some listed dates that you can come. And in addition to the mentorship hours, we also have the co-working sessions where you can just pop by, talk to your team. Highly encouraged to also schedule outside time as well, outside of these strictly co-working sessions for the jam. But it's kind of just a way to cultivate that community, speak to your team, see what's cooking. No pun intended there. And then we have the middle of the jam mixer that we will be hosting. The middle of the jam was kind of to celebrate all the progress you guys have made and what we have to get left. Just another way to meet other people who are jamming with you and kind of talk and check in with everybody and see what the midpoint is there. We will have additional co-working sessions. And then this is an important deadline. Submissions due. So this will be in June. That will be, you're going to have to submit for us. And I believe 3 p.m. is the cutoff for that during that day. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, exactly.
June 5th, 3 p.m. Make sure your builds are ready. Make sure your zip files are zipped. That will be the submission date for the end of this jam. And then we will come all back together for a showcase session as well. And this will be where we kind of talk about what every single team has made up with and what we have created in our month together. And if it's your first jam and this seems like a lot, I remember that being me, and I was extremely like nervous because it sounded like a lot of information, but it's so fun, and honestly, just have fun with it. Let's go to the next slide so we can kind of talk about what we have over the next 4 weeks and resources that we have for you guys. I think on the website we have a long list of different ways to start, resources, game jam guidance and tips, things like that. We will outlay this and make sure that you can talk to anybody during this time period, but try your best to decide on an idea and focus on that idea in the first few days of your jam. Maybe designate some team members or functionalities as team producer. Scheduling meetings could be extremely helpful. Even though it's a longer jam, I think just trying to have like organization is like a solid way to go. And don't be afraid to like share your progress in our Discords. We would love to see what you guys are working on, or just with your team in general. Make sure that you can have different bits of gameplay so we can showcase at the end as well what you guys are wonderfully making. Checking with your team often. Make sure builds are early in your process. Sometimes your game plays well in editor. I know this from experience. You played in editor and it's wonderful, it's flawless, and then you build it and everything's broken. So ensure that that's going on, but just make sure you keep in constant communication. I think that's like the best way to go, and don't ever fret. There's a whole community behind you here, both co-working and mentorship here. We can go to the next slide too. These are kind of the points that I'm just chatting about here, but if you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to stick around. The server will be kind of your main touch point. I believe that's going to be Melanated Game Kitchen, but I believe Black and Gaming will also have some people who are probably crossing over as well. So do not be afraid to reach out and ask some questions about the jam in these channels. We actually have an event directly after this. If you guys have any questions that are more specific, immediately after this, we'll have a jam event in the voice channel in the Melanated Game Kitchen Discord server. This is where you can meet other jammers and mentors. If you don't know where to start, We're kind of just going to be hanging out there. We'll do a live demo. I believe we have a custom game jam bot to assist everyone with making teams if you are concerned about that, and setting up channels for you actually as well. That's actually very cool. Every jam team will receive their own private channel if they would like to. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please stick around. Thank you for joining us today in today's kickoff. We are so happy to get started. And yeah, let's get jamming, guys. Let's get jamming.
That's right. That's right. Let's see what we got going on for everybody. I'm very excited to see what people come up with. I'll also add this little bit too, Giselle, before we wrap up, about the Game Jam guide for those in the server. I think we were supposed to share it out with everybody earlier. I don't think we fully did, so I'm going to make sure with our community team that we get the guide over to you all. Has some extremely helpful and detailed resources for everybody, especially new people. And the big part, and like Giselle had mentioned before, is we also provided some timeline information for people. This is a month-long game jam. It's a little bit different than doing a weekend-long thing where you're sprinting, right? So managing your time and managing your team is going to be a big one. So I'll be posting that shortly once we wrap up to make sure everybody can dig into that a little bit as they start to prep today in particular. Lastly, I guess before as we wrap up, Giselle, as MGK and what we've been founded on, being partially from the African Diaspora and connecting with other intersectional diasporas to us, and with our theme of collective power, we remiss to not mention the collective movements that are happening, been happening for a while now, but over the last 2 weeks especially, that have been happening along college campuses for people that are protesting and advocating for human rights of the Palestinian people and for divestment from companies that are supporting the war in Gaza. And so we over at the Game Kitchen are very supportive of these efforts, and it's very timely with our theme for what we're creating this month. So yeah, just wanted to give a shout out for that.
Yeah, no, thank you for touching on that, Tim. For sure, I have, some friends out there too that have been experiencing this firsthand, and I think it's great to be talking and having these discussions. And it's really important to have organizations that back these type of things, because not that many people want to have a very publicly strong voice about that. So I appreciate speaking up on that.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
I guess with that, we can close out and get back into the Discord for everybody.
Yes, see you there at the Game Jam event, and if not, I will see you guys back in a month for the showcase.
Absolutely. All right, y'all.